The cameras flashed, the crowd froze, and just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
It really happens that fast, right?
When a reality television princess trades a luxury mansion for double-locked handcuffs, the whole world just stops to watch. Welcome to StarScope Report.
We're so glad you are tuning in today.
Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And our mission for today's deep dive into this stack of source reports is to look at exactly what happens when that fame collides with the immovable reality of the justice system.
Because it is a completely different world out there.
It really is. We're examining a series of recent celebrity legal troubles, focusing primarily on the shocking allegations facing Teresa Giudice's daughter, Milania.
Which is just a wild story to dig into.
Yeah, but the goal here isn't just to read you the headlines. We want to dissect the mechanisms of modern fame. We need to understand how private, behind closed doors chaos escalates into very public police records.
Exactly. And more importantly, how different generations of celebrities attempt to spin or ignore or even capitalize on their own arrests. We are thrilled you're here to navigate this with us.
It's going to be an interesting one.
So let's get right into it, because the situation with Milania Giudice is basically a masterclass in how reality television drama can suddenly mutate into actual legal jeopardy.
Oh, absolutely.
We are not talking about a parking ticket or a noise complaint here. She's officially accused of punching a victim in the head, and, well, she's looking at potential jail time.
Which is
And just for context, this is a $3.35 million mansion.
Yep.
It is the absolute picture of curated reality TV luxury.
But just before 6:15 p.m., that entire illusion just shatters. Because a 911 call is placed from inside the house, and it's actually placed by Milania's older sister, Gabriella.
Yeah, according to the police reports we have here, Gabriella tells the dispatcher that Milania is acting erratically. And it's not just, screaming at each other. She's allegedly throwing food and, bizarrely enough, birthday candles.
Birthday candles. I mean, it's so specific.
It is. So the police arrive, they classify the situation as a domestic dispute, and Milania leaves that $3 million mansion in double-locked handcuffs.
Just a total scene.
Fast forward to July 14th, and she is sitting in a virtual Zoom hearing for the Montville Township Municipal Court right alongside her attorney, Alan Kraminski, and she's pleading not guilty.
And the terminology used in that Zoom hearing is what we really need to focus on, because the law doesn't care about reality TV storylines.
I completely agree. And I actually spent some time looking into the specific New Jersey state laws on this, because legal jargon can be so misleading sometimes.
Oh, for sure. It can sound way less serious than it is.
Exactly. Under New Jersey law, Milania is charged with simple assault. Now, to the average person, you hear the word simple and it sounds like a slap on the wrist.
Right, like a misdemeanor that goes away with a small fine.
Yeah, but under the statute, it actually means she is accused of purposefully, knowingly, or recklessly causing bodily injury to another person.
The contrast there is key, because the alternative would be aggravated assault, which is a much darker territory legally.
Wait, let me break down how they differentiate that, because it's fascinating. Aggravated assault in New Jersey involves causing serious, permanent bodily injury or using a deadly weapon.
Which thankfully didn't happen here.
Right. But what really stood out to me in the legislative documents, specifically Assembly Bill number 1271, is that context and location matter immensely.
How?
Well, if Milania had committed this exact same alleged action, throwing a punch against a retail worker inside a shopping mall or against a paramedic, the law automatically upgrades it to aggravated assault.
Oh, wow, really?
Yes. But because this happened behind the closed doors of a private home during a domestic dispute, it retains that simple classification.
That is a critical distinction to make. But, we shouldn't let the word simple minimize the physical reality of what the prosecutor actually claimed during that hearing.
No, absolutely not.
Because they laid out a very specific anatomical allegation. They stated that Milania struck a victim who is only identified in the municipal court documents by the initials LR in the head with her fist.
Right in the head.
Yeah, and the prosecutor even noted that the strike caused visible redness to the middle of the victim's forehead.
Okay, I have to pause here because we need to address the elephant in the room regarding those initials. LR.
Yeah, the internet definitely noticed that.
Right. Because the incident took place at the home of her stepdad, Luis Ruelas.
Yeah.
His son, who is Milania's stepbrother, is Louis Jr.
So the initials match up.
Exactly. The Naughty But Nice Substack has reported that cast members of The Real Housewives of New Jersey immediately started speculating that Luis was the victim.
Which is a huge allegation.
It is. Now, I want to be incredibly clear to you listening. This is entirely unconfirmed speculation. The court has not released the victim's identity. We are just reporting what the sources are saying.
Right, we're just looking at the discussion surrounding it.
But hypothetically, if the victim is the stepdad or the stepbrother, how on earth does a crisis PR team handle that? I mean, you can't just edit around a municipal court hearing.
You really can't. That's where the PR machinery hits a brick wall. Reality TV is built on the concept of controlled chaos, right?
Exactly.
You throw a drink, you flip a table, you scream at a reunion, and then the network packages it into a neat, seasonal narrative of conflict and resolution.
And everybody gets a paycheck.
Right. But a 911 call from a sibling, a police report detailing physical injury, that is uncontrolled, state-documented consequence.
It's way outside the Bravo bubble.
If the victim is indeed a family member, it exposes a level of systemic internal dysfunction that you just cannot fix with good lighting and an editing team. It bridges the gap between entertainment and actual tragedy.
I hear that, but honestly, her public reaction doesn't look like tragedy at all. It looks like marketing.
That is the most surreal part of this entire story.
Right.
The traditional crisis PR playbook says you go dark, you log off, you put out a carefully worded apology through a publicist, and you wait for the news cycle to churn.
But Melania did the exact opposite.
She leaned into it entirely.
So heavily. On June 29th, she posted a TikTok addressing a viral, fake AI-generated mugshot of herself. She didn't use the video to express remorse or explain the heat of the moment or anything.
No, she used it to critique the aesthetics of the fake photo.
Yes. She literally bragged, saying, "I ate down in my real mugshot. I lit fire."
I still can't believe she said that.
She added a casual, "Stuff happens in life, you got to learn from it." But the priority was abundantly clear. It was all about her aesthetic brand.
It's a fascinating psychological mechanism, though. What we are seeing here is the Gen Z influencer approach to criminal justice.
Which is basically to treat an arrest as a brand activation.
Exactly. She is actively stripping the negative legal context away from the event and repurposing the visual aesthetic, this whole idea of the bad girl mugshot for social media engagement.
She is trying to control the narrative by turning a municipal court charge into content.
And she doubled down on it. She followed that TikTok by posting a series of Instagram photos.
Oh, the bikini pictures?
Yeah, she's in a bikini, lounging by a luxury pool, debuting fiery new red hair, and she captioned the post redemption season.
Redemption from what? She had literally just pleaded not guilty to assault.
It gets crazier. To make it even wilder, she exposed her own text messages with her sisters on her Instagram stories.
Right, you can see Gabriella calling her a keyboard warrior, and Adriana practically begging her, texting, "You're so mean to me. Can you please, not be freaking mean?"
The cognitive dissonance is staggering. In the physical court of law, she is facing up to 6 months in jail, a year of probation, and significant fines. Her next hearing is slated for August 11th.
But in the digital court of public opinion, she is producing her own spin-off series.
She is treating the legal system like it's just a rival cast member she has to outpost on Instagram.
It really makes you wonder if the reality TV ecosystem has completely warped the perception of consequence.
It certainly seems that way.
But while reality television is navigating this bizarre new territory of brand activation arrests, a legendary staple of the music industry is dealing with severe allegations of his own.
And that's not even the wildest part. Stick around to find out what sparked a dispute that led to a $10,000 bond.
Let's shift gears to the music industry, specifically to veteran radio host Big Tigger.
Now, for those who might not know, he is an absolute foundational pillar in the hip-hop and R&B broadcasting world.
A total legend.
He has built a decades-long career on being smooth, professional, and culturally insightful, which is why it was incredibly jarring to see him land in serious legal trouble recently.
Yeah, he was booked on charges of battery and cruelty to children.
I was genuinely shocked when I saw his name in the source stack.
Same. It is such a massive departure from his public persona. What exactly led up to this?
Well, according to the reports from WSB-TV, the incident occurred back in May at his home in Sandy Springs, Georgia. It was a physical altercation with his wife, Alicia Brown.
Okay, and what started it?
The catalyst for this entire explosive argument: text messages.
Wow.
specifically texts that Big Tigger allegedly exchanged with a female coworker over the course of several weeks. The argument over these messages escalated to the point where law enforcement was called. Tigger was taken into custody, and he was eventually released after posting a $10,000 bond.
I have to challenge the narrative a bit here because we hear this so often. You know, an argument over text messages escalated into violence.
Right.
But people have been having violent domestic disputes over suspected infidelity long before smartphones ever existed. Is it really fair to blame the digital footprint? Or is the phone just a convenient scapegoat for age-old relationship toxicity?
That is a highly relevant pushback, and you're right that infidelity is not a new catalyst for conflict. But the mechanism of how a smartphone functions in these disputes is fundamentally different than, say, a rumor or a suspicious late-night phone call.
Because it's tangible.
Exactly. A smartphone provides textual permanence. If a spouse hears a rumor, it's ethereal. It can be debated or denied. But when a spouse finds a text thread spanning weeks, it is a tangible, undeniable artifact. It can be read, reread, and analyzed in real time during an argument.
It creates a completely different, much more visceral psychological trigger.
It completely removes the space for deniability and accelerates the emotional explosion.
I see what you're saying. The screen creates this false sense of detachment when you're typing the message. You're sitting in a studio, you send a flirty text to a coworker, and it feels contained within the digital borders of your phone.
Until it isn't.
Exactly. When that digital reality inevitably bleeds into the physical world, when the spouse scrolls through that permanent record, the emotional fallout is instantaneous and severe.
Precisely the mechanism at play, and
Yeah.
it bridges back to what we saw with the Giudice text messages earlier.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Digital communications are serving as the match that lights the powder keg of real-world legal consequences. And regarding the specific charges for Big Tigger battery and cruelty to children, it's important to clarify how that second charge is typically applied in Georgia.
Yeah, because that sounds terrifying.
It does, but it doesn't necessarily mean the child was physically struck. Cruelty to children charges are very often filed when a minor is merely present in the home, witnesses the domestic battery, or is placed in circumstantial harm's way during the altercation.
Which just adds a deeply tragic layer to the whole situation regardless.
It really does.
It's a stark reminder that the police don't care about your legacy in the broadcasting booth, and they don't care about the digital context of your argument. They only care about the broken laws on the pavement.
Very well said. And hey, if you listening are loving these deep dives into the hidden mechanisms of Hollywood and the real-world consequences of fame, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Because later in the deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming when a viral rapper and a reality star found themselves on the wrong side of a traffic stop.
Which brings us to a fascinating subgenre of celebrity legal trouble. The routine traffic stop.
The great equalizer.
Truly, when the red and blue flashing lights pull up behind your car, fame doesn't grant you a free pass. The pavement treats a superstar and a civilian exactly the same.
And recently, we've seen two incredible examples of this with drastically different reactions.
First, we have the viral rapper Stunna Girl, who ironically is known for her track called Pretty Privilege.
The irony is rich there.
Right. She was arrested in North Carolina after being pulled over in a black and white Mercedes by the Mooresville Police Department.
But what's crazy is that this wasn't for a new, reckless crime. She was booked for a failure to appear in court over a charge that was nearly a decade old.
A 10-year-old administrative ghost came back to haunt her during a standard traffic stop.
It highlights how municipal court systems have incredibly long memories. But what's telling is how the situation was resolved.
Very quickly.
Yeah, in true Stunna Girl fashion, the arrest barely registered as a speed bump. She was released just hours later on a $3,500 bond.
Her pretty privileged persona remained completely intact.
The arrest was essentially processed as a minor administrative fee for living her lifestyle.
But then you contrast that swift, almost bureaucratic bailout with the deeply emotional arrest of Mrs. Juicy Shirlene King Pearson from the reality show Little Women, Atlanta.
Oh man, this one was tough to watch.
It happened back on April 18th in Winder, Georgia. The police body cam footage of this arrest was released to the public, and watching it is honestly heartbreaking.
It is incredibly raw footage. She was pulled over and subsequently booked for driving on a suspended license and having no proof of insurance.
But as you watch the interaction with the officers, it becomes abundantly clear that she genuinely believed these issues had been resolved in court previously.
Right, it was an administrative misunderstanding on her part, not an intentional flouting of the law.
When the officer finally tells her she's being placed under physical arrest, her reaction is visceral.
You can hear the absolute terror in her voice. She just breathes out, "I'm going to jail." Woo.
It is not a performance for the cameras. It's not a brand activation. It is pure, unfiltered fear.
It really makes me wonder, does the element of fame make these traffic stops inherently more dramatic? Or is it just that police body cams act like involuntary reality TV, giving us a high-definition front-row seat to the worst day of someone's life?
That is the exact question we need to be asking. The body cam has entirely replaced the paparazzi telephoto lens.
Wow, that's so true.
Paparazzi photos can be spun by a publicist, but body cam footage is unedited, state-sponsored reality television. And what is truly fascinating is analyzing the wide spectrum of how these public figures react to the justice system when the body cam is rolling.
The range is unbelievable.
Consider the spectrum we've covered today. On one end, you have Milania Giudice, who treats the legal system as just another content stream.
Yeah, she is defiant, critiquing her AI mugshot, launching a redemption season aesthetic before she has even gone to trial.
Then in the middle, you have Stunner Girl, who treats an arrest warrant like a parking ticket. You pay the bond, you get out, and you post about it later. The system is just an annoyance.
And on the far end, you have Mrs. Giudice. She represents the reality that the vast majority of regular citizens face.
She experienced the raw, unfiltered terror of a system that is actively stripping away your physical freedom, even over something as bureaucratic as a suspended license.
She wasn't thinking about how she looked for a mugshot or how she could monetize the arrest on TikTok. She was terrified of the immediate cold reality of a holding cell.
It puts everything into perspective. We are watching different generations and different tiers of fame process the exact same flashing police lights in entirely different ways.
For some, it is a terrifying loss of autonomy. For others, it is a financial hurdle. And for a select few, it is literally a marketing opportunity.
Which leaves us with a provocative thought to mull over as we wrap up this deep dive. We are living in an era where an arrest is no longer just a legal hurdle. For many, it is a content strategy.
It really is.
From AI-generated mugshots to monetizing leaked text messages, the court of public opinion now demands just as much attention as the municipal judge. But if a mugshot simply becomes another post on the Instagram grid, a badge of a so-called redemption season, do the flashing lights of a police cruiser lose their power to deter bad behavior?
That's a great question.
If the justice system is just another backdrop for an influencer's brand, what happens to the concept of the cautionary tale?
That is a terrifying thought to leave on. The idea that the flashing cameras of the paparazzi and the flashing lights of a police car are slowly blending into the exact same spotlight. You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.